Okay everyone, so now let's get back to a special segment of our lecture which is known as the Lorentz equation or the Lorentz transformation equation. So who exactly is Lorentz? So Lorentz is a person who before Einstein mathematically derived that relativity holds. Although he was not able to explain it by the means of an example, unlike what Einstein used to do. He gave an example first and then he derived it mathematically. Lorentz derived it mathematically but was not able to give an example. So there was a brief war going on before Einstein discovered relativity between Lorentz and Galileo. Galileo, as we know, is a person who you all can relate with, and now since we have reached to that stage that we can also relate with Lorentz. So what are these x dash and x? X dash and x are basically, let's say there is one frame which is at rest. Let's say frame 1 which is at rest. There is another frame, frame 2, which is moving with the speed v. And both of these frames have to record an event which is happening sometime later, somewhere here, event. Right? This is an event and they have to record the position of that event. So let's say frame 1 records the event to be at a distance x, and frame 2 records it to be at x dash. And you have to find the relation between x dash and x. Then it is given by x dash equal to x minus vt. How can you prove it? X dash and this is x. Let's say the frame was here initially at t equal to 0. Frame 2 was at frame 1 initially at t equal to 0. And after a certain time t equal to t, it traveled forwards. So what is this distance going to be? It will be speed into time, vt. So now you can give the relation that x equal to x dash 3, 2, 1. So now you can give the relation x dash equal to x minus vt, or x equal to x dash plus vt. Right? So this is what Galileo said without considering relativity, because this speed is going to be very small than the speed of light. Right? So relativity is not taken into account. Converse to this, what Lorentz said is that x dash equal to x minus vt. This is perfectly correct. However, you need to add a factor of gamma. And hence gamma is known as Lorentz factor. Earlier what we used to know about gamma was that it was just a factor, but now it is also known as Lorentz factor. And the beta which you used to learn earlier, that was the ratio of the speed of the particle close to the speed of light divided by the speed of light. This is basically known as speed parameter. Right? So giving credit to Lorentz work, we named it as Lorentz factor. And this t dash equal to t is basically t dash is the time interval that is recorded by the frame 2. Time interval. And t is the time interval recorded by frame 1. Time interval recorded by frame 1. And Galileo obviously will say that they both are equal because the speed is less, so time dilation does not work there. And what Lorentz will say, you need to add a factor of gamma again. So gamma times t minus Vx by c square. This is how he defined the time, how it gets dilated. So this is the relation, and this is the major difference between how Galileo thought it and how Lorentz thought it. We are supposed to remember Galileo's transformation when we were in lower standards like 11th or 12th, or we were learning elementary school physics. Galileo is the one whose equations you have been learning, and Newton further improvised them to give the kinematical equations. Whereas now you have to accept both of them, right? Lorentz and Galileo. Lorentz has made the equations in such a way that relativity is also considered. Galileo has not revised it in that way. Now there is a formal requirement of all the relativistic equations to change into Galilean equations when we tend the speed of light to infinity. That means when we tend the factor of c to infinity, these equations that are known as the Lorentz transformation equations should converge to Galilean equations. That means they should hold true for speeds very less than the speed of light. So let's try to tend c to infinity. So as we put c to infinity, you might notice that gamma is 1 upon under root of 1 minus d by c whole square. As you put c to infinity, or you tend the speed of light to infinity, that means the speed of the object is very small as compared to the speed of light. That's why speed of light is a large quantity. So as you tend this c to infinity, this will become 1 by infinity, that is tending to 0. The factor b by c will tend to 0, right? That means gamma will tend to 1. 1 upon under root of 1 minus, this will become 0, so 1 upon root 1, that is 1, so that will tend to 1. That means in these equations, if I apply gamma tending to 1, I will obtain the same Galilean equations which I had discussed earlier. So let's try to do that. So let's try to analyze this equation. X dash equal to, gamma will tend to 1, so it will become x minus vt. Same as the Galilean equation that we considered earlier. Second equation, t dash equal to gamma times t minus vx by c square. C is tending to infinity. That means the factor vx by c square, which is written here, will tend to 0. That means all you have left is t dash equal to gamma times t, which is the time dilation equation. But since gamma is tending to 1 again, implies this equation will become, implies t dash will become t, which is the same as Galilean equation which I had discussed earlier. So relativistic equations do hold true for speeds closer to the speed of light, that is during relativity, and for speeds which are very less than the speed of light, they converge to Galilean equations. So sometimes you might wonder that why are we trying to learn these equations? What is so unique about these equations? So the uniqueness about these equations is that they are able to explain Einstein's postulates of relativity perfectly, right? They are able to explain relativity in simultaneity, they are able to explain time dilation, and they are able to explain length contraction. We will see now how they are able to explain time dilation, relativity in simultaneity, and length contraction. Now what are x dash and x here? X dash and x are the space coordinates which are defined from a reference frame which is moving with speed v, that is x dash, and from another reference frame which is at rest, that is x. So they are able to relate the coordinates of a single event observed from a reference frame. Sometimes there is requirement of observation of two events. So for that I have to write it as delta. I have to just add the symbol of delta. So delta x dash becomes gamma times delta x minus v times delta t, right? Because the interval, it is an interval. What is delta? Delta is the interval, that is the change. So if delta x dash, if I try to write what is delta x dash, that is x2 dash minus x1 dash. And what are x2 dash and x1 dash? x2 dash is the space coordinate which is observed from reference frame which is moving at speed v, and x1 dash is the initial event, space coordinate of the initial event that is observed from a reference frame which is moving with speed v. And if I write delta x, that will be x2 minus x1, which again means the same thing, that it is observed from x2 is the second event which is observed, the space coordinate of the second event which is observed from a rest frame, and x1 is the space coordinate of the first event which is observed from a rest frame, and delta t is the time interval. Similarly, I can write it also for this, delta t dash equal to gamma times delta t minus v times delta x upon c square. So this is if you want to write it in terms of delta, that is while you are referring to more than one event, right? Another unique thing about these equations is that they are able to relate the time coordinate with the space coordinate, and that was exactly which was described by Einstein, the space and the time entanglement. Let me explain how the Einstein's postulates of relativity hold true even by Lorentz transformation equations. So for that I require this second equation, and we are trying to prove that the relativity of simultaneity holds true and can be proved by the Lorentz transformation equations. So let me just recap what relativity of simultaneity said, that if two events are simultaneous in one reference frame, they need not be simultaneous in another reference frame. So let's say there is a reference frame S dash where we are recording the temporal and the temporal, that is the time coordinates, as well as the position coordinates. And there is another frame S where we are recording the time coordinates and the positional coordinates. And we observe that in the S dash frame, the both events are simultaneous. Both the events are simultaneous. Both the events are simultaneous. And we have to see whether they will be simultaneous in this frame as well. So what relativity of simultaneity says that in general they will be not simultaneous. So both the events are simultaneous. Now what does that exactly mean? It means that delta t dash is going to be 0. This is the main condition, that delta t dash is going to be 0. Why? Delta t dash is the time interval between both the events, the difference in time between both the events. Now if both of the events are simultaneous, that means they occur at the same time. So that means if they occur at the same time, that means the difference of the times will be 0. That means the time interval is going to be 0. Now let us put it in this equation so that we calculate how delta t changes. So if I put delta t dash equal to 0 in this equation, I will say that 0 equal to gamma times delta t minus v delta x by c square. So does this prove that delta t is 0? It proves that delta t equal to v delta x upon c square. This is only what it proves. That means if delta t dash equal to 0 does not mean that delta t is 0. If delta t dash is 0, that means both the events are simultaneous in one frame. It does not mean that they will be simultaneous in another frame. And that is what exactly was said by Albert Einstein and is proved by Lorentz. That means we can prove using Lorentz transformation equation that relativity of simultaneity holds true. To check whether the time dilation equation holds true with the help of Lorentz transformation equations. So what the time dilation equation says, that if two events are simultaneous in one frame, then we call it a proper time interval. And if they are not simultaneous in another event, that is we are taking the use of more than one clock, then it is an improper time interval, and the improper time interval is greater than the proper time interval by factor of gamma, and time is said to be dilated. Let's try to prove it with the help of Lorentz transformation equations. So I am going to need the second equation again. What I am going to do, that again we are going to take the S dash reference frame which is moving with speed v, and another reference frame which is at rest, and we find out that in the rest frame both the events are occurring at the same place. That means delta x has to be 0. If both the events are occurring at the same place, that means the difference of the space coordinates recorded will be 0, right? So delta x has to be 0. So we put delta x equal to 0 in this equation, equal to 0. What we get is delta t dash equal to gamma times delta t, and this becomes 0, right? And what is delta t? Since both the events are occurring at the same place, that means delta t is a proper time interval, right? We require only one clock to define both the events, so it is a proper time interval, and hence delta t dash is an improper time interval. Improper time interval. And as this equation states, this is the equation of time dilation, that the improper time interval is greater than the proper time interval by a factor of gamma. Hence Lorentz equation can explain time dilation as well. Now let us try to prove the final consequence of Einstein's theory of relativity, that is length contraction. So for that I am going to require this equation, the first equation, and again we have the same procedure. That is, let's assume there is a frame S dash and there is another frame S, and let's take the classic example of a rod. We are trying to measure the length of the rod. So let's say that the rod is at rest in frame S dash. Rod is at rest. So if the rod is at rest, that means you can easily measure its length. You can measure its length at leisure, because your length is basically going to be change in the x coordinates. again we bring the x-axis, and let's say there is x2, x1 let's say, and there is x2, and you have to measure the length of the rod which is stationary. You can easily measure it, right? You can write the length to be a proper length because you are measuring when the rod is stationary and there is no relativity happening. So L0 will be x2 minus x1, which I am calling it as delta x dash. Right, let me write it as x dash so that, yeah. So this will be a proper length. Okay. Now let us go to a frame S where you are observing the same rod to be moving with some speed v. That means if you are trying to calculate the length of the rod, now you have to measure it simultaneously. If you are trying to measure the length of the rod in a moving frame where the rod is moving, you have to measure it simultaneously, right? Because if you do not measure it simultaneously, it will not be called length. You have to simultaneously go to the endpoints of the rod and subtract the coordinates. So if it has to be simultaneously, that means the change in time interval is going to be 0. This is what you have to realize, that the change in time interval is going to be 0 if you are trying to measure it simultaneously. Again the x-axis, x1, x2, this time the rod is moving with speed v, so it is difficult to measure, that's why you have to measure it simultaneously. You have to once go to its front position and then again subtract the back equation, the back position simultaneously. It is moving with speed v, right? And this time if you calculate its length, delta x, that will be x2 minus x1, it will be an improper length since the rod is moving right now. So you have to write it as improper, let's say L dash. So delta x here will be L dash. Now I substitute this in this equation. So let us try substituting that and see what we get. Delta x dash this time becomes L0. So L0, I am just reframing this equation 1, right? So L0 equal to gamma times delta x. Delta x is going to be L dash and minus v times delta t. Since delta t is 0, that means this factor vanishes. So what you are getting is that L dash equal to L0 upon gamma. That means the improper length is smaller than the proper length by a factor of gamma. That means length has been contracted, and hence length contraction can be easily proved by Lorentz transformation equation. And this is the significance of Lorentz transformation equation, is that it is able to explain relativity in simultaneity, it is able to explain relativity in time dilation, and it is able to explain relativity in length.